Hey there, in this video I want to talk to you about the number one suppressed emotion of every human being that is blocking every human being often from doing the things that they want to do, that is causing conflicts in relationships and at jobs and in the world at large, that is subconsciously influencing your choices, the way you look at the world, the way you look at yourself, that is causing you to create not very integer coping or survival mechanisms or suppression mechanisms to deal with that emotion. It's causing you to have blind spots. It's causing you to behave in ways that you regret later on. And often you are not even aware that you're doing all of that because of that suppressed emotion, because you have suppressed that emotion so much, because it's really, really intense to feel it, that you do not even know anymore that you have that emotion and that you created all kinds of mechanisms to suppress that emotion and to protect yourself from ever feeling that emotion again. But if you want to change yourself in your life, if you want to transform, if you want to grow, if you want to create your art, if you want to make your dreams come true, if you want to create the vision that you have inside of you, you cannot do that without acknowledging this emotion and without facing the truth of this emotion and without integrating it into your being. Otherwise, it would always subconsciously dictate your life, your choices, your relationships, and the way you look at the world and the way you look at yourself. The emotion that I'm talking about is shame. And because experiencing the feeling or sensations of shame are very, very, very intense and often feel like a little death to a human being, and especially to a little child, the first time you experience shame as a little child in your life, you suppress it from that day on and you create mechanisms, coping and survival mechanisms, protection mechanisms to never ever feel that emotion anymore. And why? Why is shame so intense? Why do we do everything to not feel it anymore? What's behind it? Well, that's for everybody a more personal question, but often you can narrow it down to feelings of unworthiness or the deep belief that there is something really wrong with you. You're not worthy of love, that you are a bad person, a bad human being, that you do not have the right to exist. It's all things you believe, right? It's not the truth, but that's what you believe. And by being afraid of shame in some way, you suppress parts of yourself that you believe you should be ashamed of. And that can be a lot in this society, especially when you had parents that used shame as a tactic to make you do the things that they wanted you to do. Or a society that uses shame to make you walk in line. Right? A society that shames you for standing up or for speaking up against the authorities. And shame is such a good tactic to, from a very young age, use to little children to make them do what you want to do. But it's so detrimental. It's so traumatizing for children. It's hurting them so much. It's really stripping them of their innocence. And what it also does is that all the authentic parts of children, the things they do that no one else does because they are an authentic individual and an individual expression of the all, right? These authentic expressions are often shamed the most because no one does that. No one recognizes that. And when a person, often an adult, sees something in its child that it doesn't recognize, that is new, that feels unknown, it often feels unsafe and it feels its own shame and it projects that shame onto the child and it shames the child for showing things that aren't normal, that aren't known, or that aren't the right thing to do. So the child feels ashamed and with that suppresses the shame and parts of its authentic self. So in this deep feeling of shame, you also hide the most beautiful, authentic parts of yourself. The person you so long to be, the person you so long to express and manifest in this world. That is why you are watching this video. And by working with your shame, becoming aware of it, working with it, acknowledging it, feeling it, listening to it, inviting it into your reality and integrating it, you will get to meet the parts of you that you so suppressed out of shame, that you so miss and that you so desperately long to express. And when we acknowledge our shame and work with the shadow of the shame, when we feel it, heal it, integrate it, listen to it, when we overcome the shame and dare to express our authentic selves with the world, we finally give ourselves what we so desperately want and need. Acknowledgement, recognition, validation, love. We fill ourselves from the inside out with expressing ourselves authentically, and we are feeling complete and whole and fulfilled. We don't have to live in scarcity and in lack anymore, and we don't have to use our shadow tactics such as manipulation, control, domination, and oppression. We don't have to lie anymore. We can just be who we truly are without shame. So ask yourself the question, what frightens you the most? What are you most afraid of? Why? What are you most ashamed of? Why? When you are not aware of shame, how you suppress it, and the tactics you use to keep on suppressing that, when you are not aware of that shadow, it is holding you hostage. It is holding you in a system, inside and out, of oppression, domination, control, and manipulation. But when you become aware of the shame, of the suppression, feel it, heal it, integrate it, work with the shadow, listen to it, shine light on it so that it can dissolve and integrate into your being, and you overcome the shame and express yourself authentically, do the things that you want to do, you free yourself from that system of domination, control, manipulation, and oppression. You free yourself from the collective shaming and from your individual shaming. You could see it as that up until today, there is this shadow that is holding you hostage through shaming and blaming and guilt tripping yourself, right? And you do your best all of your life to not look it in the eye, to run away from it. You're afraid of it because you do not want to feel the feelings and the emotions that are underneath it and that you are suppressing. And it feeds almost on you because of that. And all of a sudden you dare to look it in the eye. You shine light on it. You see it. You see it for what it truly is. It's not that big of a monster. It's actually a really small, insecure being that just wanted to be seen and loved and heard and valued for what it authentically is. When you do that, you can integrate that part, give it the love, give it what it needs. And you can decide from that day, from that moment, from now on, I see you, but I'm not going to listen to you anymore. It's all an illusion. It's a matrix of domination, oppression, control. It's a matrix of shame. But when I dare, with courage, to feel the shame and to feel what's underneath it, I free myself from that. I do not have to suppress it anymore. I do not have to suppress myself anymore. I free myself from it and I can express myself authentically. I'm not a hostage anymore. I'm a free, empowered human being. And I choose to express who I truly am. I choose to express all of who I am. I face the consequences of doing that. And I will experience after doing that I'm still alive. And this will empower me the most. This will free me the most. And to start with doing that, you have to start to work with your shadow, and especially the emotion that feels the most heavy, the most controlling, that is shame. And underneath the shame, fear, scarcity, unworthiness. Acknowledge what you are feeling most ashamed of and accept it. Do not let it take you hostage anymore. Free yourself from your shame. Make sure that your biggest fears come true and feel that you're still alive and that you're finally free. Now let's go and work with our shame. Good luck.